Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review of The Ripper by Carmelo Anaya. This book was sent to me by the author in exchange for an honest review, and it is a crime novel following a police commissioner in a Spanish town where there's a serial killer who's imitating Jack the Ripper. It follows the case and the investigation as the police commissioner starts receiving text messages from the killer. I loved this book. I was so hooked into it from the start. I was addicted to reading it and really badly wanted to find out who the killer was, and I really wanted the commissioner to solve the case. So if you're interested in crime fiction or just like true crime in general, and if you are familiar with the Jack the Ripper case, so Jack the Ripper was a serial killer in Victorian London. I know it fascinates a lot of people because that was a serial killer case that was never resolved. The parallels that it drew to the original Jack the Ripper crime were really interesting. It really made me think about how the original murders might have played out and how the aftermath would have gone down, especially since the murders kind of just stopped and Jack the Ripper wasn't caught. It really made me think about some possibilities of like things that could have happened. And those references to the original Jack the Ripper gave this book a really kind of layered and intertextual kind of feel, and there were references to things like the occult as well. This book was definitely gruesome at times, especially in terms of descriptions of crime scenes. If you're familiar at all with the original Jack the Ripper murders, then you'll get where that is going. Even just the name Jack the Ripper, you can imagine how he might go about killing people. So the crime scene descriptions were quite gruesome, but other than that I would definitely say this is more of a crime mystery kind of novel rather than like a thriller or a horror as such. But I do want to tell you that there was one scene in particular that I was at home by myself at nighttime reading it, and I was legit so scared. It's like the kind of scene where you suddenly realize how quiet your house is and you're listening to every creak and wondering if there's someone in the house. It was that good. Also, just a bit of added creepiness. At the end of every chapter there's a little passage in italics from the point of view of the killer, and I found that really interesting as well. It gives you like little clues, but it's also super creepy. This book, as you can probably see, is kind of a long one, and it's definitely a complex story, and I really liked that about it. It doesn't have that really basic kind of plot line that some crime novels have that I hate, which is where the investigator finds one clue and then that person gives them the next clue and then that clue leads to the next clue. I find those stories really dull and repetitive, and this story was definitely more realistic than that. It was kind of like they were investigating in all different directions, and the way things came together at the end was much more complex, but I really enjoyed that. I had a prediction about who I thought the killer was, and I thought this the whole way through and I was wrong. The twists and red herrings and everything in this story are so good. I was completely like blown away by all of the twists and the ending and everything. It's one of those that I want to reread it again right now, like knowing who the killer is. I want to go back and see if I can like pick up on all the clues since I know who it is, and like, yeah. What made it even more suspenseful, I guess, for me was the fact that the commissioner, once he finally kind of has a pretty firm idea about who he thinks the killer is, he doesn't say the person's name. So he's going about kind of like investigating this person, but he's not telling you who it is, and I found that just put me on the edge of my seat. I was like reading as fast as I could because I had to know who it was. I was like, tell me who you're thinking of, because I wanted to, like, you kind of feel like you're investigating it with the commissioner, and I just love that. The ending, like I mentioned, it was unexpected for me, but in particular not just like the ending, like how it all comes together, but the very final scene in the book I thought was just perfect, and it was really poignant, and I loved the final scene. It just totally made the whole book for me. Also, as kind of like a side note, compared to other adult crime fiction novels, I actually liked this one a lot better because it didn't feel as sleazy to me. And I don't know if other people feel that way about crime novels, but I just feel like sometimes they're really sleazy. I'll try and explain what I mean, but in this book the police are really corrupt, and if you are familiar with Jack the Ripper, he did target a particular profession in terms of the woman that he would murder, if you know what I mean with that. But what I'm saying about the book not being like sleazy is the fact that our main character, he doesn't have women like throwing themselves at him at every turn, which I feel like is something that happens all too often in a lot of other crime novels, and I hate that. So I really appreciated that about this book. It was also much better written than other crime novels that I've read in the past. I found the prose in this book really, really beautiful, and there's some great imagery that's used. It's something that I really appreciated. I just thought it was done so well, and especially considering that, as far as I'm aware, I think that this novel was first written in Spanish, and that just blows me away because everything, like I said, the writing was just beautiful. So I think that is like a sure sign of talent when you can write in 2 languages or write a book that's translated into English that is still just as beautiful. I thought that was amazing. There were some issues, not so much with the writing but more with the formatting, and I think that's definitely something that's common with self-published novels like this one. It's something that I've definitely seen before. You guys know that I don't generally read self-published novels. I purely base on whether I do it or not on just whether I think I will genuinely be interested in the book or not, and this one was one that just really appealed to me. You do end up with these small things, and they did for me a little bit take away from the reading experience. The main one that bothered me was the formatting of dialogue and paragraphs. It was just not done correctly. There were some lines of text from one paragraph that would end up on the next line, things like that. Just like it's kind of issues with formatting, like the actual printing of the book. There were also a few mistypes, nothing like super annoying. There were just like a handful of them, and there were a couple of instances, like 1 or 2 times, where the author has left in notes, like there'd be a character's name and then in brackets it would say like change name or something like that. Like it's just those kind of little things that have been missed. And there were also a handful of lines that were left in Spanish, like they hadn't been translated or rewritten into English, but not enough that it like made me miss anything in the story. But like I said, these type of formatting issues are common with self-published books, and I think it's really impressive to me that formatting is like the only problem I have with this book. The actual writing and the structure of the novel, which can sometimes also be a problem with self-published books, I thought in this book were done so well. It was wonderfully written and structured so well. Overall, if you can't tell, I really, really enjoyed this book, and I highly recommend it if you're interested in crime fiction or if you're someone who's really fascinated by Jack the Ripper. Overall, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars, and I'm going to link everywhere down below that you can get this book if you want to get your hands on your own copy. And yeah, if you do pick it up, let me know what you think. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on Jack the Ripper retellings, because I know what's that popular one, Stalking Jack the Ripper, is like based around the original Jack the Ripper. I haven't read that, but I'm kind of curious too. I feel like I'm on a bit of a Jack the Ripper kick now thanks to this book. If you've read any other Jack the Ripper related things, let me know what you thought of them and recommend me some if you have any favourites. I don't know if there are like films based on Jack the Ripper as well. There probably are, but I haven't seen any of them. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this, and I'll see you with another video in a couple days. Bye.